Part 1. The Arrival. The morning sun rose over New Terra, painting the sky in shades of purple and orange. The human colony sat quietly on the edge of known space, far from the busy core worlds where millions of people lived and worked. Here, only 300 humans had made their home, seeking peace and a simpler life among the stars. Daehyun woke up early as he always did. The 7-year-old boy loved mornings because that was when his father took him to the research lab. Hyunwoo was a xenobiologist, which meant he studied alien animals and plants. Daehyun thought it was the most exciting job in the whole galaxy. He wanted to be just like his father when he grew up. "Daehyun, breakfast is ready," his mother Somin called from the kitchen. She was the chief engineer of the colony, responsible for keeping all the machines and systems running. Her hands were often covered in grease, but her smile was always warm. Minji, Daehyun's 16-year-old sister, was already at the table, reading something on her tablet. She looked up and ruffled her little brother's hair. "Big day today, little explorer. Dad says we might see something special." Daehyun's eyes went wide. "Really? What is it?" Hyunwoo entered the room carrying his equipment bag. "We picked up some strange readings from the northern sector. Could be a new species. Want to come help me investigate?" Before Daehyun could answer, an alarm sounded throughout the colony. It was not a dangerous alarm, but the one that meant something important was happening. Everyone's tablets and communication devices lit up with the same message. Unknown ships approaching. "All personnel to the main hall." The family looked at each other with concern. Unknown ships could mean many things, and not all of them were good. They rushed to the main hall along with everyone else in the colony. Jinho, the security chief, stood at the front with several other colony leaders. His face was serious but calm. "Everyone, please stay calm. We have 3 large ships entering our orbit. They are not human ships. We have sent greeting messages and they are responding." The main screen showed the approaching vessels. They were massive, dark metal constructions covered in strange symbols. The ships looked like they were built for war, with sharp angles and what appeared to be weapon systems along their hulls. "They are asking permission to land," Jinho continued. "They call themselves the Vralthian Empire. We have no records of this species in our databases. They say they come in peace to meet us." Yoonji, the colony's chief medical officer, spoke up. "Should we allow them to land?" "We do not know their intentions." Soman stepped forward. "If they wanted to attack us, they could have done so already. Those ships have enough firepower to destroy our colony from orbit. The fact that they are asking permission is a good sign." After a brief discussion, the colony leaders agreed to allow 1 Vralthian ship to land at the designated landing area outside the colony walls. Security teams would be present, but they would show the visitors that humans came in peace. 2 hours later, the Vralthian ship touched down. It was enormous, easily 3 times the size of the colony's largest transport ship. A ramp extended from the ship's belly, and the colonists held their breath as the first aliens emerged. The Vralthians were impressive and terrifying at the same time. They stood over 8 feet tall, with thick, muscular bodies covered in a combination of dark gray skin and natural armor plating. Their faces were angular, with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern and mouths filled with sharp teeth. They wore elaborate armor that seemed both ceremonial and functional. Leading them was the largest Vralthian anyone had ever seen. He wore a cape made of some kind of scaled hide and carried a staff that crackled with energy. His armor was decorated with symbols that spoke of rank and achievement. "I am War Chief Thulrock of the Vralthian Empire." His voice boomed across the landing area. A small device on his belt translated his words into human language. "We have come to this world to assess its inhabitants. This planet borders Vralthian territory, and we must determine if you are worthy to remain here." The word sent a chill through the crowd. Jinho stepped forward carefully. "I am Jinho, security chief of this colony. We welcome you in peace. We did not know this world was claimed by anyone. We came here seeking a new home, nothing more." Thulrock's 4 eyes examined Jinho carefully. "You are very small," he said finally. "All of you are. On my world, creatures your size are prey, not people." Some of the other Vralthians made sounds that might have been laughter. "Size is not everything," Jinho replied, keeping his voice steady. "We may be small, but we are intelligent and peaceful. We have much to offer as neighbors." "Intelligence?" Thulrock seemed amused. "We shall see. Bring forth your finest examples. Show me your warriors, your hunters, your strongest individuals." The colony leaders looked at each other uncertainly. They were scientists, engineers, and families, not warriors. Jinho was probably their best fighter. trained in security protocols, but he was far from a professional soldier. Before anyone could respond, there was movement behind Thulrock's group. Several Varalthians were guiding something massive on heavy chains. The crowd gasped as they saw what it was. The creature was enormous, easily 12 feet long and 6 feet tall at the shoulder. It looked like a nightmare combination of a bear and a reptile, with thick armored scales covering its body, massive clawed limbs, and a mouth full of curved fangs. Its eyes glowed with a predatory intelligence, and when it growled, the ground seemed to vibrate. "This is my Scarix," Thulrock announced proudly, "a combat beast from my homeworld. It has killed dozens of warriors in the arena. It is the symbol of Vralthian strength and ferocity." The Scarix strained against its chains, clearly wanting to attack something. The Vralthians holding it were struggling to keep it under control. The humans instinctively took several steps back. Even Jinho looked worried, but not Daehyun. The young boy had been watching from beside his father, and his eyes were filled not with fear but with fascination. He had spent his whole short life around animals, learning about them from his father. This creature, despite its terrifying appearance, was still an animal. And animals were interesting. Before anyone could stop him, Daehyun walked forward. Minji reached for him, but he was already too far ahead. The crowd fell silent as the small 7-year-old boy approached the massive alien predator. "Daehyun, no!" Hyunwoo shouted, starting to run forward, but Jinho held him back. Moving too quickly might provoke the beast. Daehyun stopped about 10 feet from the Scarix and looked up at it with wonder. "Wow," he said softly. "You are really big. And scary. But I bet you are not mean all the time. My dad says predators are only mean when they are hungry or scared." The Scarix stopped struggling. Its glowing eyes focused on the tiny human child. For a moment, everyone thought the worst would happen, but the beast simply stared, perhaps confused by something so small showing no fear. Thulrock watched this with great interest. The youngling does not fear the Scarix. Is he brave or simply ignorant? Hyunwoo finally found his voice. "My son loves animals. He does not understand the danger. Please let me get him to safety." "No," Thulrock said, raising a hand. "Let him stay. This is interesting." He looked down at Daehyun. "Small human child, do you not know that my beast could swallow you whole?" Daehyun looked up at the warchief, then back at the Scarix. "Maybe, but he won't. Animals do not eat things that talk to them nicely." He was wrong about that, but his innocent confidence was somehow charming. The Vralthians found this hilarious. Their laughter echoed across the landing area. Even Thulrock's stern expression cracked into something like a smile. "Your species is weak," Thulrock announced, his good humor fading. "You are small, you have no natural weapons, and your young are foolishly brave. Yet you claim you deserve to stay on this world." He planted his staff in the ground. "We shall see. In 3 days I will return. We will conduct a trial of worth. If you succeed, you may stay. If you fail, you will leave this planet and never return." Before anyone could ask what this trial would involve, Thulrock and his warriors returned to their ship with the Scarix. The massive vessel lifted off, leaving the colonists in worried silence. Hyunwoo swept Daehyun into his arms, holding him tight. "Never do that again, never." "But Dad, the animal was interesting," Daehyun protested. "Interesting things can also be deadly," Minji said, her voice shaking. She had been terrified for her little brother. As the family walked back to their home, nobody noticed the small smile on Jinho's face. The boy had done something remarkable, even if he did not understand it. He had shown no fear in the face of something that terrified everyone else. That was interesting indeed. That night, the colony leaders met in emergency session. They had 3 days to prepare for a trial they did not understand, given by aliens they had just met. The future of their home depended on whatever happened next. And somewhere in his room, Daehyun dreamed of the giant predator with the glowing eyes, wondering what other amazing creatures existed in the galaxy. Part 2. The Challenge. The next morning arrived with heavy clouds hanging over New Terra. The colonists moved through their daily tasks, but everyone felt the weight of worry pressing down on them. In 3 days, the Vralthians would return with their trial of worth. Nobody knew what that meant, but everyone understood it would determine their future on this planet. Hyunwoo had barely slept. He spent the night researching everything he could find about trials, tests of strength, and warrior cultures throughout known space. His office was filled with scattered notes and empty coffee cups. Someone found him there at dawn, still reading. You need to rest, she said gently, placing a hand on his shoulder. How can I rest when our home is at risk? Hyunwoo rubbed his tired eyes. The Vralthians clearly value strength and combat ability. We are scientists and families. We have nothing to offer them in those areas. We have intelligence, Somin reminded him. We have technology and knowledge. Surely that counts for something. I hope you are right, Hyunwoo said, though he did not sound convinced. Down in the colony's main hall, Jinho was training with several other security personnel. They practiced hand-to-hand combat and weapons drills, preparing for whatever challenge might come. Jinho was strong for a human, well-trained and experienced, but he had seen the Vralthians. They were bigger, stronger, and built for war. If the trial came down to physical combat, humans would lose. Minji watched the training with Daehyun. Her little brother still did not fully understand the danger. He thought the Vralthians were exciting, like characters from the adventure stories he loved to read. Will Mr. Jinho have to fight the big lizard bear? Daehyun asked. Maybe, Minji said quietly. I hope not. He should bring help, Daehyun suggested innocently. In stories, heroes always have companions. Knights have horses. Rangers have wolves. Maybe Mr. Jinho needs a friend too. Minji smiled sadly at her brother's simple logic. If only it were that easy. On the second day, the Vralthian ship returned. This time only a small shuttle landed. From it emerged a Vralthian who was smaller than Thulrak, but somehow more unsettling. His armor was darker, decorated with symbols that looked like twisted thorns. His eyes were calculating and cold. I am Sub-Commander Krell, he announced through his translator. War Chief Thulrak has sent me to explain the trial of worth. Gather your people. Within an hour, the entire colony had assembled. Krell stood on a platform so everyone could see him. He seemed to enjoy having their attention, a cruel smile playing at the corners of his mouth. The trial of worth is an ancient Vralthian tradition, Krell began. It determines which species is superior, which race deserves to survive and prosper. Each side will select a champion. These champions will face a challenge. The winner proves their species is worthy. The loser proves they are weak and should be eliminated or enslaved. The crowd murmured with fear and anger. Jinho stepped forward. What kind of challenge? Combat? Possibly, Krell said, his smile widening. The war chief will decide when he returns. But know this, your champion must be ready for anything. Tests of strength, courage, and survival. Yoonji spoke up, her voice steady despite her worry. And if we refuse to participate? Then you refuse to prove your worth, Krell replied simply. The Vralthian Empire will claim this world and you will be removed by force. Many will die. Is that preferable to a simple trial? The colonists fell silent. They were trapped and everyone knew it. We will select our champion, Jinho said finally. When will the trial take place? Tomorrow at noon, Krell answered. War Chief Thulrak will return with the full ceremony. Be ready. After Krell left, the colony leaders met again. The choice seemed obvious. Jinho was their best fighter, their strongest and most capable warrior. He would be humanity's champion, but Jinho looked troubled. I will do this, he said slowly. But I must be honest. If the trial is direct combat with a Vralthian warrior, I will lose. They are simply too strong. If I must face that Scarix creature, I will die. I am not being negative. I am being realistic. Then what can we do? Salman asked desperately. We need an advantage, Hyunwoo said thoughtfully. We need to use our intelligence to overcome their strength. They talked for hours but found no good answers. When the meeting ended, everyone left with heavy hearts. Tomorrow might be the last day of their colony. That evening, Daehyun could not sleep. He could feel the worry radiating from his parents, even though they tried to hide it from him. He went downstairs and found his father sitting alone in the dark, staring out the window. Dad? Daehyun said softly. Are we going to lose our home? Hyunwoo turned, surprised to see his son awake. He opened his arms and Daehyun climbed into his lap. For a long moment, they just sat together in the darkness. I do not know, Hyunwoo admitted finally. He had never lied to his son and he would not start now. The Vralthians are very strong and we are not warriors. But we are smart and we are brave. Maybe that will be enough. In my stories, the small heroes usually win, Daehyun said hopefully. Real life is not always like stories, Hyunwoo said gently. But sometimes it can be. We just have to find our way. The third day arrived too quickly. At noon, the sky filled with Vralthian ships. 3 massive vessels hovered over the colony. their shadows darkening the ground below. This time, War Chief Thulrak brought his entire command staff and dozens of warriors. They set up what looked like a viewing area near the landing site, using their advanced technology to create raised platforms and seating. The humans gathered nervously, wondering what spectacle the Vralthians were preparing. Thulrak stood at the center of an area that had been cleared and marked. "Humans of New Terra!" His voice boomed across the space. "The time has come for your trial of worth today. You will prove whether your species deserves to exist alongside the Vralthian Empire, or whether you are too weak to survive in this sector of space." He gestured, and several Vralthians brought forward a large cage. Inside was the Scarix, even more terrifying in daylight. The beast snarled and slammed against the bars, making the cage shake. "Your trial will be simple," Thulrak continued. "Your champion will enter the arena with my Scarix. They will face each other. The trial ends when one side surrenders, retreats, or dies. If your champion wins, you may stay. If the Scarix wins, you leave." Jinho stepped forward, his face pale but determined. "I am the human champion. I accept this challenge." But before Thulrak could respond, Krell stepped forward. "Wait," the sub-commander said, his voice oily with false politeness. "War Chief, I wish to invoke the old law, the law of true measure." Thulrak's eyes narrowed. "That law is rarely used, Krell. Why invoke it now?" "Because," Krell said, turning to face the humans with that cruel smile, "the law of true measure states that the youngest shall prove the species. Adults can be trained, can be forced to be strong, but the young show the true nature of a race. Their instincts, their natural abilities, their genetic potential. The law of true measure requires that both sides send forth their youngest capable member." Horror spread through the human crowd. The youngest capable member? That could mean a child. Thulrak considered this. "The law is ancient but valid." "Very well, Krell. We will honor it." He gestured to his warriors, and they brought forward a young Vralthian. The youth was barely 8 years old by their standards, but he already stood 6 feet tall, with developing armor plates and muscles that would make a human adult jealous. "This is young Vrak," Thulrak announced. "He is our youngest warrior in training. He will be our champion, along with the Scarix as his companion beast." All eyes turned to the humans, their youngest capable member. The colonists looked at each other in disbelief and despair. The youngest person who could possibly participate in such a trial would be... "No," Hyunwoo said, his voice breaking. "No, you cannot mean this, a child. You want us to send a child?" "The law is clear," Krell said, barely hiding his satisfaction. "Your youngest capable member. That would be..." He pretended to think, though everyone knew he had planned this. "A child of 6 or 7 years old, I believe. That seems to be when your species reaches basic capability." Minji grabbed Daehyun, pulling him close. "You cannot do this. He's just a baby." "He is capable of walking, speaking, and following instructions, yes?" Krell asked mockingly. "Then he is capable. That is the law." Soman stepped forward, her engineer's mind desperately looking for a solution. "There must be another way. We can negotiate different terms. We can..." "The law has been invoked," Thulrak interrupted, and his voice was final. Unlike Krell, the war chief seemed to take no pleasure in this, but honor bound him to follow the ancient traditions. The humans must select their youngest capable member or refuse the trial entirely. Those are the only options. The colonists erupted in argument. Some wanted to refuse to fight the Vralthians even though it would mean destruction. Others begged for mercy for any alternative. Through it all, Daehyun watched quietly, still not fully understanding but knowing that everyone was upset. Finally, Jinho held up his hands for silence. "We need time to discuss this. Surely you can give us a few hours?" "You have until sunset," Thulrak agreed. "No longer." As the Vralthians returned to their viewing platforms to wait, the humans gathered in desperate conference. Every parent held their children closer. Every adult felt the weight of impossible choice. Part 3. The Impossible Choice. The colony's conference room had never felt so small and suffocating. Every leader, every parent, every adult who could offer an opinion had crowded inside. The argument had been going in circles for an hour, and sunset was approaching too quickly. "We cannot send a child to fight that monster," Yunji said firmly. "I am a doctor. I took an oath to protect life, especially the lives of children. This is insane." "But if we refuse, they will attack," Jinho countered, his voice heavy with exhaustion. "Every child in this colony will die, not just one." They have the weapons and the numbers. We would not last a day. So we sacrifice one child to save the rest? Salmon's voice cracked with emotion. What kind of choice is that? Tejin, the xenozoologist who worked with Hyunwoo, had been quiet until now. Wait, he said suddenly. Everyone stop. We are thinking about this wrong. The room fell silent and everyone turned to look at him. The Vralthian said the child could have a companion beast. Tejin continued, speaking quickly. Young Vrak has the Scarix. What if we give our champion a companion too? An animal that could protect them? What animal? Someone asked. We do not have anything that could fight a Scarix. That thing is huge. Hyunwoo sat up straighter. His son's innocent words echoed in his mind. Youngmi, he called out. The Earth Fauna Preserve. What animals do we have there? Youngmi, the agricultural specialist who managed the preserve, looked confused. We have the standard livestock for biodiversity. Chickens, rabbits, a few goats, some Earth species we brought to remind us of home. Nothing that could fight. Tell me everything, Hyunwoo insisted. Every single animal in that preserve. Youngmi pulled up her tablet and began reading the list. As she went through the names, hope drained from the room. Chickens would be useless. Rabbits would run away. Goats, while stubborn, were not predators. What about dogs? Someone suggested. Earth dogs are loyal and brave. We do not have any dogs in the preserve, Youngmi said sadly. The colony never requested them. They are on the list for the next supply shipment, but that is months away. Hyunwoo stood up and began pacing. There had to be something. Earth was a world of incredible biodiversity, home to millions of species. Somewhere in humanity's evolutionary history, there had to be an animal that could help. Wait, Youngmi said, scrolling further down her list. There is one more entry. It came in the last supply shipment about a month ago. I almost forgot because we have kept it separate from the other animals. What is it? Hyunwoo asked urgently. The manifest says Mellivora capensis, Youngmi read, then looked up. Common name honey badger. It was requested by the Xenobiology Department for comparison studies of Earth's predatory mammals. A badger? Jinho frowned. Is that not just a small furry animal? Taejin and Hyunwoo locked eyes. Both of them suddenly looked excited. Not just any badger, Taejin said slowly. A honey badger. I remember reading about them in university. They are native to Africa and parts of Asia. They are only about 3 feet long, maybe 25 to 30 pounds. That is tiny, someone protested. How could that possibly help? Let me show you, Hyunwoo said, pulling up his own tablet. He searched the Earth Wildlife Database and began reading aloud. Honey badgers are known for their ferocious defensive abilities and fearless nature. They have been observed attacking lions, fighting off packs of hyenas, and breaking into locked facilities. They have extremely thick, loose skin that protects them from bites and stings. They are resistant to many types of venom that would kill other animals. He looked up at the gathered crowd. There is a saying about honey badgers that became famous on old Earth. Honey badger does not care. It became a joke, but it was based on truth. These animals do not back down from anything. They do not run. They do not surrender. They fight creatures 10 times their size, and often they win. But it is still so small, Yunji said, though she sounded less certain now, against that Scarix. Size is not everything, Taejin interrupted. The Vralthians just proved that. They could have sent their largest warrior, but they chose young Vrak because of the law. They understand that sometimes the smaller fighter has advantages: speed, agility, unpredictability. Hyunwoo continued reading. Honey badgers have powerful jaws and sharp claws. They are intelligent problem solvers. They hunt venomous snakes and survive bites that would kill a human in minutes. They raid beehives protected by thousands of bees and barely notice the stings. Their skin is almost impervious to arrows, needles, and even machete cuts because it is so thick and tough. Minji had been listening quietly while holding Daehyun. Now she spoke up. But would it protect Daehyun? These animals are wild predators. Why would it care about protecting a human child? That is the question, Hyunwoo admitted. We would need to introduce them carefully. We would need to hope that the honey badger sees Daehyun as part of its territory, something to defend rather than ignore. Hope? Salmon shook her head. You want to base our entire plan on hope? Do we have anything better? Hyunwoo asked gently. He looked around the room, meeting each person's eyes. Right now, hope is all we have. The Vralthians have strength and size, but Earth gave humanity something else. It gave us creativity, adaptability, and creatures that refuse to be prey. The honey badger evolved on the same planet we did. It survived everything Earth threw at it. If any animal represents humanity's spirit, it is this one. Jinho stood up. I want to see this animal, now, before we make any decisions. 10 minutes later, a small group stood outside the Earth Fauna Preserve. The other animals barely noticed them, busy eating or resting. But in a reinforced enclosure set apart from the others, something moved. The honey badger was not impressive at first glance. It looked almost cute, with its distinctive white stripe running from its head down its back, contrasting with the black and gray fur of its body. It was low to the ground, stocky, with small ears and a blunt snout. Compared to the massive Scarix, it looked like a toy. But then it noticed the humans and everything changed. The honey badger did not run or hide. It turned and stared at them with small dark eyes that held something fierce and uncompromising. It made a low, rumbling sound that seemed far too big for its body. As they watched, it walked directly toward them, showing no fear at all. It tried to dig under the fence twice. Youngmi said quietly. We had to reinforce the enclosure with metal plates buried 3 feet deep. It also climbed the walls, so we added an overhang, and it tried to break the lock. 3 times. It is smart, Taejin observed. It is stubborn, Youngmi corrected. I have worked with animals my whole life. I have never seen anything like this. It does not care that it is in an enclosure. It does not accept that it cannot get out. It just keeps trying. Jinho had spent years in security, learning to read threats and assess danger. He studied the honey badger carefully. This animal is not afraid of us, he said finally. Look at its body language. It is not aggressive, but it is not submissive either. It is just confident. Hyunwoo knelt down near the fence, though still at a safe distance. We need your help, he said softly to the honey badger, knowing it could not understand. We need you to protect someone who cannot protect himself. The honey badger tilted its head slightly, still watching them. In that moment, something passed between the man and the animal. Not understanding exactly, but a recognition. They were both fighters in their own way. They both came from a world that taught harsh lessons about survival. We are running out of time, So-min said, checking her tablet. We need to make a decision. How long would it take to transport the honey badger to the arena? Jinho asked. 20 minutes, maybe less, Youngmi answered. But introducing it to Daehyun safely will take time. Honey badgers are not domesticated. They are wild animals with strong instincts. Then we start now, Hyunwoo decided. Bring Daehyun here. We will see if they can be in the same space without problems. Minji brought their brother from the colony center, where he had been waiting with other children. Daehyun looked scared and confused, but he trusted his family. When he saw the honey badger, his eyes widened. Is that the friend who will help me? He asked. Maybe, Hyunwoo said carefully. But we need to see if you two can be friends first. This animal is called a honey badger. His name is… Well, he does not have a name yet. Would you like to give him one? Daehyun thought for a moment, studying the small creature through the fence. Duri, he said finally. It means 2 in Korean. Because we will be 2 against the world. Hyunwoo felt his throat tighten with emotion. His 7-year-old son, faced with an impossible trial, was already thinking like a team. Duri is a good name, he managed to say. They opened a controlled gate, allowing Daehyun to enter a safe viewing area, with the honey badger on the other side of a strong barrier. Duri watched the boy approach, making no aggressive moves but showing no fear either. Hi, Duri, Daehyun said softly. I am Daehyun. We need to help each other tomorrow. There is a really big scary animal and I am really small. But my dad says you are brave. He says you do not give up. Is that true? The honey badger, of course, did not answer. But it moved closer to the barrier, sniffing the air near where Daehyun stood. The boy slowly extended his hand, not touching the fence but showing he meant no harm. Part 4. The trial morning came too quickly. Daehyun had barely slept, kept awake by strange dreams of monsters and small, fierce animals. When his mother woke him, her eyes were red from crying, though she tried to smile bravely. Time to get ready, So-min said softly, helping him dress in the light protective gear that Yoonji had prepared. It would not stop the Scarix if it really attacked, but it might protect against scratches and minor injuries. It was all they could do. Downstairs, Hyunwoo was making breakfast, though nobody felt like eating. Minji sat at the table, staring at nothing, her hands clenched into fists. The whole family felt the terrible weight of what was about to happen. I want to see Duri before we go, Daehyun said. Despite everything, his voice held a child's trust that things would somehow be okay. He did not fully understand that he might die today. They went to the preserve where the honey badger had been moved to a transport cage. Duri was awake and alert, pacing back and forth with restless energy. When Daehyun approached, the animal stopped and looked at him. In the night, Youngmi had placed one of Daehyun's shirts near the honey badger's sleeping area, letting it get used to the boy's scent. "Good morning, Duri," Daehyun said, kneeling by the cage. "Are you scared?" "I am scared. But my dad says being scared is okay." "He says courage is being scared and doing the thing anyway." The honey badger made a low huffing sound. It was impossible to know what the animal was thinking, but it seemed calmer in Daehyun's presence than it had been with anyone else. At the arena, the Vralthians had been busy. They had constructed a large circular space 100 meters across, using their advanced technology. The ground was hard-packed earth, and tall energy barriers formed the walls, preventing escape. High above, viewing platforms held dozens of Vralthian warriors, all eager to see this trial. The human colonists gathered on the opposite side, their faces showing fear and anger and helplessness. They wanted to stop this, wanted to protect their youngest, but they had no power here. All they could do was watch and hope. War Chief Thulrock stood at the center of the arena, his armor gleaming in the morning sun. Beside him was Sub-Commander Krell, who looked entirely too pleased with himself. Young Vrak waited near the Vralthian side, already dressed in light combat armor. The Scarix was in its cage, snarling and throwing itself against the bars. "Bring forth the human champion," Thulrock commanded. Hyunwoo walked Daehyun to the arena entrance, holding his son's hand tightly. Every step felt like a march to execution. Behind them, Youngmi carefully guided Duri's transport cage. The honey badger had been sedated slightly, just enough to keep it calm during transport, but it was already wearing off. At the entrance, Hyunwoo knelt down to be at eye level with his son. "Daehyun, listen to me carefully. When you're in there, stay close to Duri. Let him lead. Animals have instincts we do not have. Trust him to know what to do. But what if he runs away?" Daehyun asked, voicing the fear that everyone shared. "Then you run too," Hyunwoo said firmly. "There is no shame in running from danger. If you need to give up, you give up. Nothing is worth your life. Do you understand?" Daehyun nodded, though his eyes were wide with fear. Minji hugged him tightly, whispering in his ear, "You are the bravest person I know. Come back to us." Soman kissed her son's forehead, unable to speak through her tears. Then Youngmi opened the transport cage. Duri emerged, blinking in the bright light. The honey badger looked around at the gathered aliens and humans, at the arena and the viewing platforms. It showed no fear, only curiosity and that strange confidence that seemed to radiate from its small body. Daehyun took a deep breath and walked into the arena. Duri followed, staying close to the boy's side. It was not trained to protect him, not bonded through years of companionship. But something in the honey badger's instincts recognized this small human as part of its territory now. And honey badgers defended their territory. On the opposite side of the arena, Vrak entered with the Scarix. The massive beast strained against its handler's control, eager to attack. When it saw Daehyun and Duri, it roared, a sound that made the ground vibrate and sent terror through every human watching. Duri's response was instant. The small honey badger placed itself directly between Daehyun and the Scarix, spreading its legs wide and lowering its head. From its throat came a sound like nothing the humans had heard before, a growling rumble that seemed impossibly deep and threatening for such a small creature. The Scarix paused. Its 4 eyes focused on this tiny challenger, confused. In its experience, small animals ran from big predators. That was the natural order. But this little creature was not running. It was challenging. Thulrock raised his staff. "The trial begins now. It ends when one side surrenders, retreats, or falls. May the worthy species prove itself." He brought the staff down, and the arena's energy barriers sealed completely. For a moment, nobody moved. Daehyun stood behind Duri, his small hands clenched at his sides. Vrak held the Scarix's leash, waiting for the right moment to release it. The two species watched each other across the sandy arena floor. Then Krell laughed. "Look at the mighty Earth champion, a child and a small furry animal. This will be over in seconds." His mockery broke the tension. Vrak released the Scarix's leash and commanded it to attack. The massive beast charged forward, covering the distance with terrifying speed. Its claws tore up the ground and its mouth opened wide, showing rows of venomous fangs. Daehyun wanted to run. Every instinct screamed at him to flee. But Dury did not run, so neither did he. The honey badger waited until the Scarix was almost upon them, then moved with explosive speed. It darted to the side, avoiding the beast's initial lunge, and immediately launched itself at the predator's front leg. Dury's jaws clamped down with incredible force, powered by muscles designed to crack bones and tear through thick hide. The Scarix roared in pain and confusion. It tried to shake off this small attacker, but honey badgers had evolved specifically to deal with this situation. Dury's loose, tough skin meant the beast's attempts to bite or claw only caught empty folds. The honey badger hung on, its teeth sinking deeper. Frustrated, the Scarix spun and slammed its leg against the ground, trying to crush Dury. But the honey badger released and rolled away at the last second, already repositioning for another attack. Impossible, Krell shouted. It is too small. The Scarix should have killed it. But the fight was far from over. The Scarix, now angry and hurting, became more strategic. It feinted left, then struck right, its massive jaws snapping shut where Dury had been a split second before. The honey badger was fast, but the arena was limited. It could not dodge forever. Daehyun watched in terror and awe as his small companion fought the monster. Be careful, Dury, he called out, his child's voice carrying across the arena. As if responding to the boy's voice, Dury changed tactics. Instead of dodging away, the honey badger charged directly at the Scarix, going for its face. The beast reared back in surprise, and Dury's claws raked across its sensitive nose and eyes. The Scarix shook its head violently, temporarily blinded. It struck out wildly, and this time connected. One massive paw caught Dury and sent the honey badger tumbling across the arena. The small animal hit the ground hard and lay still. No, Daehyun screamed. Without thinking, he ran toward his fallen friend. The crowd of humans gasped in horror. The boy was running toward the Scarix, not away from it. Hyunwoo tried to jump into the arena, but the energy barriers held him back. The Scarix, seeing easy prey, turned its attention to Daehyun. It opened its mouth wide, venom dripping from its fangs, and lunged at the running child. But Dury was not finished. Honey badgers are known for many things, but perhaps their most remarkable trait is their sheer refusal to quit. The blow that had sent Dury tumbling would have killed most animals. But honey badgers have thick skulls, dense muscles, and a pain tolerance that borders on supernatural. Dury shook its head, stood up, and saw the Scarix about to attack the boy. What happened next would be talked about for generations. Dury launched itself forward with every ounce of speed and ferocity it possessed. The honey badger covered the distance in heartbeats and threw itself directly at the Scarix's throat, the most vulnerable spot on any predator. Its jaws locked onto the soft tissue, and it held on with the grip of a creature that had evolved to never, ever let go. The Scarix's lunge turned into a stumble. Its roar became a choke. The massive beast tried desperately to dislodge this small attacker from its throat, thrashing and rolling, but Dury would not release. The honey badger's jaws were designed to crack tortoise shells and chew through tree bark. Scaled hide, no matter how thick, could not stop them. Then the Scarix's venom took effect on Dury. The beast had bitten the honey badger earlier, injecting toxins that would kill a human in minutes. Dury's movement slowed. The grip weakened slightly. But honey badgers have another remarkable adaptation. They are not immune to venom, but they are highly resistant. The toxins that would instantly kill other animals merely slowed them down. And slow or not, Dury refused to let go. The Scarix fell to its side, wheezing. Its movements became sluggish. The predator that had killed dozens of warriors was being taken down by something that weighed less than one of its feet. Daehyun reached Dury and dropped to his knees beside the honey badger. Part 5. The resolution. The arena fell into stunned silence. Fralthian warriors who had witnessed countless battles sat motionless, trying to process what they had just seen. Human colonists who had been preparing for the worst now dared to hope. And in the center of it all, a 7-year-old boy held a wounded honey badger, whispering words of comfort and gratitude. Yoonji reached them first, her medical bag already open. She quickly assessed Dury's condition, checking vital signs and administering pain medication that she hoped would work on Earth animals. The honey badger's eyes were glassy. Its breathing labored, but it was stable. For now, we need to get him to the medical center immediately, Yoonji said urgently. The venom is still in his system, and these wounds need proper treatment. But before they could move, War Chief Thulrock descended into the arena. His heavy footsteps made Daehyun look up, fear returning to his eyes. The massive Vralthian leader approached slowly, his four eyes fixed on the small human child, and the even smaller animal that had defeated his prized combat beast. Thulrock knelt, bringing himself closer to Daehyun's level. Even kneeling, he towered over the boy. "You did not run," he said quietly. His translator carried the words to everyone watching. "When the Scarix charged, you could have fled. The trial would have been over. But you ran toward danger instead to help your companion." Daehyun clutched Duri closer, protective. Duri was hurt. "I could not leave him. And this creature," Thulrock continued, looking at the honey badger with something like wonder, "refused to surrender even when faced with an opponent 3 times its size. It fought with more ferocity than warriors I have known. It accepted wounds that would kill most beings and continued fighting. And when your life was threatened, it returned to battle despite its injuries." The war chief stood and addressed both species, his voice carrying across the arena. "I have seen many trials of strength in my years. I have witnessed warriors of a dozen species prove their courage, but I have never seen anything like what happened here today." He turned to face the assembled Vralthians. "We came to this world believing that strength was measured in size and power, that small creatures were weak creatures, that a species like humanity, lacking our natural weapons and armor, could not possibly be worthy of respect." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We were wrong." Krell stepped forward, his expression twisted with anger. "War Chief, you cannot mean this." "They sent a child and a tiny animal. This proves nothing except their weakness." "It proves everything," Thulrock said firmly. "Tell me, Krell, what is the most important quality in a warrior?" "Strength," Krell answered immediately. "Wrong," Thulrock said. "The most important quality is the refusal to surrender. The will to fight even when victory seems impossible, the courage to face death without fleeing. These qualities this child and this small creature have demonstrated beyond question." He walked to where the Scarix was being tended by Vralthian handlers. The great beast was alive but humbled, its pride as wounded as its body. "My Scarix has defeated trained warriors. It has killed enemies twice its size. Yet today it retreated from something smaller than its own head. Why? Because it recognized in that small earth animal something more dangerous than claws or teeth. It recognized a will that would not break." Hyunwoo found the courage to speak up. "War Chief, if I may, this is what Earth taught us. Our world was not kind. It created predators larger and stronger than us. Our ancestors were prey, hunted by creatures with sharper teeth and faster legs. By all logic, humans should have gone extinct. But we did not. We survived through intelligence, cooperation, and sheer stubborn refusal to give up. Every species that evolved alongside us learned the same lessons." Taejin stepped forward, pulling up his tablet. "May I show you something, War Chief?" Thulrock nodded, curious now rather than hostile. Taejin projected images into the air above them, showing various earth creatures. "This is an orca, an ocean predator that hunts great white sharks, animals that terrify most marine life. This is a mantis shrimp smaller than my hand, with strikes powerful enough to break aquarium glass. These are African wild dogs that hunt prey 10 times their size through pure endurance. This is a tardigrade, microscopic, yet it can survive the vacuum of space." He showed image after image, each one demonstrating Earth's incredible biodiversity and the survival strategies its creatures had developed. "Our world is not like yours, War Chief. Earth did not create one apex predator. It created millions of species, each competing with the others, each finding unique ways to survive. The result is a planet where the smallest creatures often have the fiercest spirits." Young Vrak had been watching and listening silently. Now he approached Daehyun cautiously. "Your companion fought well," he said, his translated voice awkward but sincere. "I have trained with the Scarix since I was young. I never thought anything so small could defeat it. I was wrong to underestimate you." Daehyun managed a small smile despite his tears. "Duri is really brave." He did not care that the Scarix was bigger. He just wanted to protect me. Thulrock made a decision. "The trial is concluded. The humans have proven their worth. More than that, they have taught us a valuable lesson about the nature of strength." He turned to his warriors. "We came here as conquerors, ready to judge another species as inferior. Instead, we have learned that we are the ones with limited understanding. The Vralthian Empire recognizes humanity's claim to this world. You may stay." Relief washed over the human colonists like a physical wave. Some cried, some cheered, some simply collapsed where they stood, overwhelmed by the sudden release of tension. But Thulrak was not finished. More than that, I propose an alliance between our species. We have knowledge of this sector of space technology and military strength. You have something we lack. Knowledge of a death world that created impossible survivors. Together, we could learn much from each other. Jinho stepped forward as the senior security officer. The colony leadership would need to discuss this proposal, but speaking personally, I believe an alliance would benefit both our peoples. Good, Thulrak said. But first, let us see to the wounded. Your doctor may treat the small warrior. Our medical staff will assist if she requires it. Yunji carefully lifted Duri, cradling the honey badger gently. I need to move him now. Every second counts. Surprisingly, it was Thulrak who cleared the way, ordering his warriors to step aside. As Yunji hurried toward the colony medical center with Daehyun running alongside her, the Vralthian leader watched them go. That creature should not have survived, he muttered to himself. By all logic, the Skariks should have killed it in the first exchange. That is Earth logic, Hyunwoo said, having overheard. On our world, survival is not about following logic. It is about refusing to accept defeat. In the medical center, Yunji worked frantically to save Duri. The honey badger had multiple lacerations, possible internal injuries, and a significant amount of venom in its system. By all normal medical standards, the animal should have died in the arena. But honey badgers were not normal animals. Young Mai provided what information she could about honey badger physiology. Their metabolism is slower than similar-sized mammals. That might be helping slow the venom's spread, and their pain tolerance is extraordinary. Most animals would go into shock from these injuries. Daehyun sat nearby, refusing to leave despite his parents' gentle urging. He watched as Yunji cleaned wounds, administered medicine, and worked to stabilize his friend. Is Duri going to be okay? He asked for the 10th time. I think so, Yunji said, and this time she sounded more confident. His vital signs are stabilizing. Whatever adaptations honey badgers have for surviving venom, they are working. He will need time to heal, but I believe he will survive. Over the next few hours, as Duri slept under medical care and Daehyun dozed in a chair beside him, the colony leadership met with Thulrak and his commanders. The discussion was long and detailed, covering territory boundaries, technology exchange, and mutual defense agreements. We would like to study your Earth biosphere, Thulrak admitted, not to conquer or exploit, but to understand. In all our expansion across the stars, we have never encountered a world like yours. A planet that creates such fierce survivors fascinates us. We would be willing to share that knowledge, Somin said carefully, in exchange for your understanding of this sector's political landscape and access to some of your technology. Fair, Thulrak agreed. But there is one other thing I request. Everyone waited tensely. The young one, Daehyun, and his companion. When they have both healed, I would like them to visit our flagship. Young Vrak wishes to apologize properly, and perhaps become friends with the boy, and I would like to understand this honey badger better. It has changed how I think about strength. Hyunwoo looked at Somin, who nodded slowly. When Daehyun is ready and if he wishes to go, we would allow it. 3 months passed. The colony and the Vralthian Empire established what would become a lasting friendship. Engineers from both species worked together on construction projects. Scientists collaborated on research, and children, human and Vralthian, began to learn about each other's cultures. Duri recovered completely, his remarkable physiology healing wounds that would have permanently damaged most creatures.